There was a part member family in Winter Haven that we were kind of working with the mother who was the non-member, and none of the children had been baptized yet. But the father was active. They owned an orange grove. And so one day we decided to stop in and talk to the mother again. And she invited us in, and she says, you know, what I don't understand about your church is why you need the Book of Mormon when you have the Bible. And the Spirit entered me and took over and explained to her why we needed the Book of Mormon. And that was the only out-of-body experience I've ever had, where I was out watching this happen, and when it was all over, I couldn't remember a thing that was said. Other than at the end, she says, oh yeah, I want to be baptized, but I want you to go over to my minister and tell him that take my name off the roll because I don't want to face him. And it was raining cats and dogs, and we jumped in the car and went over there and talked to him, and he was good about it. We told the branch president then that we needed the pond, the baptismal font filled and all, and who it was, and tears came to his eyes. We've been trying to work with her for years. Well, when we went down there then in our trip around the U.S., we went to that ward or branch. I think it was a ward by then. Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, I baptized the oldest son as well. He was 12. And when we got to that ward, he recognized me, and he came over and talked to me and said, remember, you baptized me. I said, yeah, and your mother, how is she doing in her activity? Well, she's not too active. But I served a mission, and I'm on the High Council. So with that little family, I'm sure he was successful because he was a smart kid. Many baptisms had come from it.
No, this is the one. Tell them about the...
Well, we got a referral in Miami. Went to this place. It looked like a barracks, and the reason it looked like a military barracks is that's what it had been. And now it was a housing for those who couldn't afford much. And so we knocked on the door, and a woman came to the door, and she said, oh, boys, I would like to talk to you, but I'm just on my way out. I get into Old Betsy out there, her 1947 Pontiac, and let the Lord take the wheel, and I'm going somewhere, so I can't talk to you. If you can come back. I thought, well, I don't know if we want to come back to this weirdo or not. But later on we did. And she just absorbed everything we said. She had one eye. She had a parrot that talked, or a bird, I can't remember if parrot or not, but it would say, preacher man's a mess. And that would really embarrass her. while we were there. And one time when we were there, we were fasting because we had been asked to give a blessing. And she always give us day-old bakery goods. And this time we wouldn't accept, and she couldn't take that. What? How come you won't? Aren't they good enough for you? So we told her about fasting, and she said, "Well, I only have the one good eye, the other being glass." She says, "And you leave these pamphlets with me, and my eye blurs up and I can't see them. Will you give me a blessing?" So we did, and I blessed her that she would have good vision. At the end of the blessing, she said, "The film's gone already." And every time after that we saw her, still have 20/20 vision in that one eye. Well, I got transferred from there. And I told her just prior to Sunday school, and I saw her after Sunday school, and she told me that she cried so hard that her glass eye fell out. But we saw her, she moved ultimately to Provo, and so we caught up on what her life had been then. The branch president's wife would pick her up for church. And she told the branch president's wife on the way to church once, she said, "I had the funniest dream last night. There was Aunt May and Uncle whoever," and she named them all, and they were all standing there with their arms outstretched toward me. And the branch president's wife says, "Well, it sounds like genealogy to me. And they're starting a class today. Let's go in it." So within a month, she had submitted 100 names to the temple. And then, a few days later, she had another dream. This time, all the relatives are there with their arms folded, and they're shaking or nodding their heads that all is well. Well, she babysat for a couple whose last name was Skousen, a young couple. And the Skousens and another couple went out one night, so she babysat for them. And when they got back, this brother Skousen said, "You know what, you ought to go out to Arizona to the Mesa Temple. And my folks would put you up there until you got on your feet and all." "Oh, I couldn't do that. That cost so much." And the other guy, not the Skousen, said, "Well, how much would it cost?" She just picked a figure out of the hat and said, "Oh, $300. To her, that was $1 million. And so 2 days later in the mail comes a check for $300 from this guy. And so she gathered up her dog and got an old Betsy and took all that she owned and headed out for Mesa, Arizona to the temple. She got into Georgia and the car gave out. She coasted into a gas station. And she went in and she said, "Now I'm an old lady, I don't have very much money, and my car gave out, but I'm going out to the temple in Arizona and I need your help." And he said, "You must be a Mormon." "Yes, I am, and proud of it." He put in a new generator and regulator and charged her $35, but told her, "You pay me when you get out there and get on your feet." Off she went. This time she got into Texas, and the car gave out, and she coasted into a farm implement company. And she went in and said, "I'm an old lady," and gave her story. And the young guy says, "Well, I'm not the owner, and he'll be here pretty soon. We don't work on cars here, but he'll know what to do." So pretty soon he drives up. He jumps out of the car, and he turned white as a sheet. He said, "I saw you in my dream last night, and your dog. I saw the whole thing." That just goes to show you, you're supposed to fix my car. I'm an old lady and going to the temple. "You must be a Mormon." "Yes, I am." So he repaired her car. Off she went. Got into Arizona. The car gave out.
Late at night.
Pardon?
Late at night.
Well, I don't know how late it was. It was,
After work hours.
yeah, after work hours. Anyway, there was nobody around this time. And so she got out and kicked the tires, and that didn't do any good. And so she cried and she prayed, and pretty soon here comes a pickup truck. And she flagged him down, and it was a young 19-year-old. And she gave the story, and he said, "Now I know why I couldn't turn. Back there a mile, I got off work, and back there a mile, I always turned to go home. But I couldn't turn that steering wheel. And now I know why. I've been called on a mission, and I need your faith. So I need you to pray for me as much as you prayed for your car." And so I don't know how, if or what, he fixed her car, but she got to the temple. And as a postscript, a worker in the temple, was he a worker? No, it was just the worker in the temple got acquainted with her and said, "We have a dad that should be with you." And they got married and sealed. And then he died, and then she moved to Provo and worked in Desert Industries, and we visited her a few times there before she died.
I want to tell, well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say her name was Geneva Millicent Couch when we met her. And then at the end, she was Geneva Millicent Couch Porter.